All right, let's jump into this deep dive. So you want to really nail this whole working from home thing here in Australia, right? And you found this ultimate guide looks promising from Now Technology Systems.
Published fairly recently, too, just a few weeks back on August 12th of this year.
Perfect timing then. Now, for those not familiar, Now Technology Systems, they're all about web design, e-commerce, that sort of thing, but they've put together this guide for remote workers.
And it's surprisingly in-depth, I have to say. For a company that's knee-deep in WordPress and SEO, they've got some pretty insightful advice.
Right. Who knew a WordPress plugin could come with a side of work-life balance wisdom? But hey, maybe that's their secret sauce for success.
Maybe so. But jokes aside, what I appreciate is that they're laser-focused on us Aussies working remotely.
Totally. They even get into the legal stuff, which, let's be honest, most of these guides kind of tiptoe around.
And that's crucial here in Australia. OH&S, the Fair Work Act, all of that comes into play more than people realize.
This isn't just about surviving working from home, it's about thriving, and a big part of that is having the right setup.
Absolutely. They really nail the workspace essentials. A decent chair, a proper desk, preferably adjustable, and good lighting. Those are non-negotiables.
Okay, standard stuff, but important nonetheless. So what makes their take on the workspace different?
Well, they highlight that in Australia, all of that ties directly into OHS compliance. It's not just about being comfortable, it's about meeting legal requirements.
Oh, interesting. So ergonomics isn't just about avoiding a stiff neck after a long day of work.
Exactly. Your employer actually has a legal responsibility to make sure your workspace is safe, even if it's your home office.
Wow, I had no idea. So just because I'm working from my kitchen table doesn't mean my boss can just wash their hands of any responsibility for my well-being.
Precisely. That ergonomic setup, it's not just a suggestion. It's about meeting specific standards outlined in Australian OHS regulations.
Okay, so that's a game changer. I'm taking notes. Now that we've got our ergonomically sound OHS compliant workspace all set up, what's next on the agenda for a remote work success?
Well, now technology systems, they delve into the tech side of things. Because you can't exactly conquer the digital world with a dodgy internet connection and a computer that's older than time.
Oh, tell me about it. I've been there, done that, and have the tech nightmare stories to prove it. Remember that time when...
Let's save those stories for another time, shall we?
Right. Point is, reliable internet is the lifeblood of remote work these days.
Absolutely. And they stress having a backup plan, which, living in Australia, is crucial. Our internet reliability, let's just say it can be a bit temperamental.
You're telling me it's like the internet gods have a wicked sense of humor, waiting for that crucial client presentation to completely obliterate your connection.
Exactly. And it's not just about the internet. They highlight the importance of having a solid set of communication tools, too. Things like Slack, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, the whole shebang. Got to stay connected with your team and manage those projects.
Which brings us to the ever-present challenge of time management.
Ah, yes, the double-edged sword of working from home. So much flexibility, yet distractions are always lurking.
It's a constant battle, let me tell you.
Yeah.
1 minute you're in the zone, super productive, and the next minute you're me.
Procrastination. The siren song of the laundry pile, the endless scroll of social media, the allure of that midday Netflix binge.
Okay, yeah, you're speaking my language now. Suddenly that pile of laundry is looking very tempting. But wait, Now Technology Systems to the rescue, right? They've got some actual strategies for time management.
And they're not messing around. We're talking actual techniques, not just setting an alarm and hoping for the best. Like the Pomodoro technique, you familiar with that one?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Focused work sprints, then a short break. I'll be honest, I was a bit skeptical at first. I'm one of those if I'm on a roll, don't stop me kind of people. And then I tried it.
What'd you think?
Honestly, game changer. Having those little breaks, it's like hitting the reset button on my brain. I come back feeling way more energized and focused.
Right. Our brains aren't meant to be on constantly. Those short breaks, they're not just a luxury. They genuinely make you more productive in the long run.
Who knew? So better time management, more energy, it all feeds into that work-life balance everyone's after. And now technology systems, they seem to get that, especially for us Aussies.
Definitely. They're big on setting boundaries, which is essential when your home is also your office.
Oh, tell me about it. It's way too easy for those lines to get blurry. What kind of boundaries are they talking about?
Well, they talk about having a designated workspace, sticking to a schedule as much as possible, and most importantly, actually clocking out at the end of the workday.
Even if your commute is just from the couch to the bedroom.
Exactly. Mental boundaries are just as important as physical ones. It's about protecting your personal time, avoiding burnout, all that good stuff. And speaking of well-being, they got a whole section on staying healthy while working remotely.
Because let's be real, that snack drawer is a dangerous place when you're just a few steps away from it all day long.
They're on to us. But on a serious note, they make a really good point about physical and mental health being crucial for remote workers. They suggest incorporating exercise into your routine, even if it's just a quick walk around the block.
Yes, get that body moving.
And of course, a balanced diet.
Working on that one. I have a bit of a Tim Tam addiction. What can I say?
Yay. Everything in moderation, right?
Sure.
But you've hit on something important. Self-awareness, being mindful of your habits and making conscious choices.
Absolutely. And then there's the mental health aspect, which I think is often overlooked. It can be isolating working from home, stuck in your own little bubble.
It's so true. You miss those casual interactions with colleagues, those little moments of connection throughout the day.
Exactly. So what do they suggest we do about it?
Well, now technology systems, they really emphasize staying connected. Make time for friends and family, prioritize social interaction, and don't hesitate to seek professional help if you need it. There's no shame in asking for support.
None at all. It's a sign of strength, really, to recognize when you need a bit of help. And it actually ties back to that Aussie spirit of mateship, looking out for each other. We're all in this together, even when we're working from our separate home offices.
Couldn't agree more. That sense of community is something. Now, technology systems highlights throughout the guide, especially when it comes to building a strong remote work culture, which is something we can dig into a bit further.
Perfect segue. Because now we're moving beyond the nuts and bolts of setting up your home office and into the really interesting stuff. What makes remote work not just doable, but truly successful?
And this is where I think now technology systems really shines. They get that a thriving remote work culture isn't about trying to recreate the office environment online. It's about embracing the unique aspects of this way of working, finding the advantages and working with the challenges.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So spill the beans. What are their top recommendations for building a remote work culture that really sings? So spill the beans. What are their top recommendations for building a remote work culture that really sings?
Well, communication is key. That might seem obvious, but
Yeah, when you're not bumping into each other in the hallway.
exactly. It's easy for those quick check-ins, those informal chats, to just fall by the wayside.
Those little interactions can spark some amazing ideas, though. So how do we recreate that virtually? What do they suggest?
They're all about being proactive. Schedule those regular team meetings, absolutely, but also encourage virtual coffee breaks, online team building activities,
Yeah.
even just a quick message to a colleague to see how they're doing.
I like it. Little gestures can make a big difference. It's about maintaining that human connection, even if it's just a virtual high five during a Zoom call. And it makes sense, especially here in Australia.
Right. It's that Aussie culture. We're social creatures. We like to connect, to have a laugh with our mates.
Exactly. So it's not just about getting the work done. It's about cultivating that sense of camaraderie.
Absolutely. Now, technology systems, they really tap into that Aussie spirit. They get the importance of fostering a sense of belonging, a shared purpose, even when you're working remotely.
It's interesting they bring that up because it's not something you usually see in these types of guides. Okay, so communication, connection, what else?
Recognition. Feeling valued is crucial no matter where you're working. And it's even more important when you're remote
Yeah.
because it's easy to feel, I don't know.
Invisible.
Yeah, a bit. So now technology systems, they encourage leaders to acknowledge people's achievements. Celebrate those milestones, even if it's just a quick shout out during a meeting.
Little things can mean a lot.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, and this brings us to, I think, the holy grail of remote work, that elusive work-life harmony.
The dream. Everyone's chasing it. So any pearls of wisdom from now technology systems on that front?
They've got some good stuff, actually. They reiterate that whole thing about setting boundaries, having a dedicated workspace, sticking to a schedule, and logging off at the end of the day.
Which, let's be real, is way harder than it sounds. It's too easy to just keep working.
The temptation is real, but they're big on being deliberate about it. Create those boundaries, not just for yourself, but for your team as well, and prioritize self-care.
Oh, self-care, yes. The massages, the meditation retreats,
Well, it doesn't have to be that extravagant. Just taking breaks throughout the day, pursuing your hobbies, spending time with your loved ones, all that good stuff.
You know what? I used to be terrible at that. I felt like I had to be on all the time, checking emails, available 24/7. But I learned the hard way that burnout is a real thing.
It sneaks up on you.
It does. So these days, I'm all about those boundaries. And honestly, It's made a world of difference, both personally and professionally.
That's fantastic to hear. And it actually highlights something that now technology systems emphasizes. Remote work, it's not a destination, it's a journey, right?
A journey with lots of twists and turns.
Exactly. What works for one person or one team might not work for another. So it's about being flexible, figuring out what works best for you, and always being open to learning and adapting.
It's a constantly evolving landscape, that's for sure. And you know what I really appreciate about Now Technology Systems Guide? They're not trying to preach, they're just sparking a conversation.
Totally. They're sharing their insights, but also encouraging people to find their own path, their own version of remote work success.
Which is what we're all about here on the Deep Dive. We take these sources, we break them down, and hopefully we all come away with some new insights and ideas.
Exactly. It's about digging a little deeper, understanding the nuances, and seeing how these ideas play out in the real world.
Well said. So, as we wrap up our deep dive into remote work success, Aussie style, we want to hear from you.
What are your tips and tricks for thriving in the remote work world? What's working for you?
Head over to the comments section and share your wisdom, because let's be honest, we can all learn from each other.
Absolutely. And on that note, until next time, happy working, everyone.